Hello, I'm Robin. Welcome to Bookspin. Today, I'd like to talk about one of my all-time favourite Cordwainer Smith stories, The Crime and the Glory of Commander Suzdal, first published in Amazing Stories, May 1964. This is a tale that's full of imagination and intrigue, featuring a strange lost colony, a deadly secret, and, as the title suggests, a radical criminal act that has epic consequences. And true to the author's form, this story is presented in a legendary, fable-like tone with a decent amount of weirdness to boot, giving it a quirky and otherworldly charm. So Commander Suzdal is the titular protagonist, an officer on a mission to explore the outermost reaches of our galaxy. His ship is managed by a crew of turtle people. That's to say, human-turtle hybrids. But there's plenty more weird stuff to come in this story. This is just the start of it. The tension really kicks off when, deep into his voyage, the ship comes into contact with a mysterious distress capsule. Upon investigation, Suzdal uncovers a recorded message with an enchanting female voice. And it's a cry for help from a lost colony of man that previously settled a planet called Aracosia long ago. And according to the message, their race are mysteriously dying, and they need help. The commander, being of noble character, is compelled to investigate and see what he can do to help, if possible. But this is unfortunately a trap, a major trap. Now, that's not really a spoiler, as it's made clear and foreshadowed throughout this story. The truth behind the Aracosians, also known as the Clopts, is a bit more complicated and disturbing than the message would have Suzdal believe. They are actually an ultra-aggressive all-male race of post-humans, the descendants of a colony whose women all fell victim to a strange deadly cancer caused by the planet's radiation from its sun. After the first 20 years of settlement, all of the female colonists died out. The men survived, and the survivors managed to reproduce. They developed a method that allowed the men to create artificial wombs and reproduce asexually, bearing only male children. And so the society continued in this radically transformed state, wrought with grief and disappointment. The men became insane, basically. And over multiple generations, their memories of womanhood, and by extension, normal humanity, became increasingly twisted and resentful and hateful, to the point where they now plot humanity's downfall should they ever make contact with us again. So, you can see where this is going. Suzdal is kind-hearted but naive, and he trusts the message. He sets course to find this planet and see if he can help these poor people. Upon waking from cryosleep, when he approaches the planet, he learns the truth, but by this time it's all too late. The Clopts have already surrounded his ship, which basically means not only is it game over for him and his crew, but the Clopts actually threaten humanity as a whole, because by capturing his ship, it's kind of implied that this will allow them to find a way to return to Earth and human civilization. So, what's Suzdal going to do? this is the critical point in the story. What happens next is quite astonishing. So, spoiler warning, if you don't want to know, you can stop watching now, but I'm going to go ahead and describe what happens because there's no way I could not talk about this. So Commander Suzdal has to make a quick decision about what to do to defend his ship. The solution to his predicament that he comes up with is bizarre, it's outrageous, and it's kind of ingenious. He takes some life bomb capsules from his ship. These apparently are designed for the purpose of seeding life on other worlds. And he codes these life bombs with the DNA of domestic cats, right? And he genetically engineers this DNA with the aim of creating an uplifted species. Now, how you're supposed to do all this while your ship is under siege from a monstrous race hell-bent on destroying you is beyond me, but I guess he must have some pretty powerful bioengineering tech on board. So then he loads these life bombs into a chronopathic machine, which is basically a time-traveling device intended to be used in an emergency to send the ship back in time a few seconds if needed. Instead, though, what he does is he programs it to go back 2 million years into the past. And then he sends this off to Arakosia's moon. So the idea here is it's more than enough time for these uplifted cats to evolve into an intelligent species with an advanced civilization, with loyalty to mankind encoded into their very DNA for the day that they'll be needed. So having enacted this crazy plan and changing the course of history, Suzdal summons the cats, and they arrive almost instantly upon a fleet of ships to fight the Klopts, clearing the path for his escape. So once again, cats save the day, which is a bit of a recurring theme if you recall from the Game of Rat and Dragon, which I reviewed previously. So this, in fact, is Suzdal's second major crime against the instrumentality. His first crime was to recklessly follow the distress signal without proper caution or analysis, thus putting humanity in serious danger at the hands of another race. That was his first crime. His second crime was tampering with biology and time to bring up a life form superior to man, which is strictly forbidden in this society, in this civilization. And as punishment for his crimes, the instrumentality strips him of his name and rank, and he is exiled to the planet Sheol. And there we have it. What a strange story. It's very entertaining, though. The narrative might sound kind of fanciful and pulpy, but it's written in a very captivating way. And I would argue that it's also quite a thought-provoking tale. We can consider the case of the Arakosians as a parable on the dangers of what a single-gender society might degenerate into, the chaos and disaster that ensues when yin is destroyed and only yang is left in the world. Which makes me wonder how my Arakosia might be different if it was the men who died out rather than the women. Would their society be still just as grotesque and dysfunctional, but in a different way? Maybe. Or maybe not. And what are we supposed to make of this great crime, this great criminal, Suzdal? Were the instrumentality too ruthless in their judgment? After all, he's not really a bad person. He made an honest mistake. He trusted the honesty of the messenger, and he acted with compassion and bravery in following the message, right? Qualities which are usually celebrated in a naval commander. But of course, he went much further than that with his second crime, with the whole messing about with time and creating new intelligent life forms. So I guess when you do something like that, there are going to be consequences. You're going to be judged harshly. For what it's worth, though, couldn't he just have set his ship to self-destruct or something? That would have been a whole lot simpler. Interestingly, this is not the last time we see of Suzdal, as he returns later in another story in this collection, and that story is called A Planet Named Sheol. So we'll get to that story in the future. But it's the cats in this story that intrigue me the most, I think. This whole idea of a race of uplifted cats that evolve over 2 million years is super fascinating. And I wish we could learn more about them. The moon that their life bombs were spawned on is referred to as Catland. Wouldn't it be great if we could get some more stories featuring these beings so we could learn more about their biology and their culture and their civilization? The last that we hear of them in this story is their ongoing war with the Klops. There's no actual resolution to this war. We don't know what the ultimate outcome is for either race. In any case, it's a very compelling story. It's strange, it's unsettling, and I would say it's nothing short of mind-boggling. Highly recommended.